The Devil and Daniel Webster. No, his name wasn't Webster when I spoke to him. It was Daniel. Hey, folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I think we're all doing very, very well. Now, the First Omen, the prequel, for 'tis what it is, a prequel to the Omen trilogy. Not a sidequel, not a reimagining, not a reboot, not a remake. It's a genuine bona fide prequel to the film trilogy that we all know and love. It's coming out in 2 days' time. 2 days. It comes out worldwide on April the 5th, 2024. Now, I haven't booked any tickets for it yet. I don't think I need to. I'm just going to waltz in there, the first showing at our local flea pit. And I will be reporting back extensively about this movie because I'm looking forward to it quite immensely. Now, I've covered this, the First Omen, a couple of times, maybe a bit more than that on the channel. Initially, I had reservations about it. I thought, don't mess with the classics. Why have we got to go through this time and time and time again? But the more I read about it, the more I heard about it, watching the trailers, I thought, they have got something going here. This does look better than your average, banal, generic cash-in on a formula and a franchise. They've got a few ideas. It's not quite what you expect. And there is definitely a backstory there, which, whether you want it or you don't, clearly how they got Damien into the hands of Ambassador Thorn, how Damien was brought into the world in the first place. There's a story to be told. You might not want to know the story, you might not want to see it, hear about it, or whatever, but it's coming. It's happening. You were warned. The omens were all there. Now, this take on it is directed by, I've got to make my notes here, Arkeisha Stevenson, and she co-wrote the screenplay with Tim Smith and Keith Thomas from a story by Ben Jacoby. I have discussed all the details of this before that we knew, and we've had numerous, we had the teaser, then we had the trailer, then we had another trailer, and we've had how many posters have come out? How many? Yes, 666 posters have come out, at least. They're pretty good, they're kind of crafty. They are definitely diabolical and demonic, and the sort of subversion of the Catholic faith, crucifixes turning into jackals and haunted looking women in the middle of these effigies. It's crafty, it's creepy, and it's what you would expect. Now, it's been previewed, folks, and I have had not one but two people on the inside who have told me things. Now, I know there's been a few leaks about it anyway, and a lot of ideas and suppositions about, well, they've changed this. Well, he's not born of a jackal anymore. It's well, I'm not here to nix or allay your fears about these rumours, for I actually don't know. I've specifically asked my two inside men on the job, who are both in LA and both work within the industry. And he went to the preview, which I think was last night, LA time, but I found out about it this morning. And both were, well, very pleasantly surprised by what they saw. Certainly one of them, who had a bit of trepidation and wasn't keen on the whole idea of exploring this any further, the whole Omen Damien concept, was genuinely surprised by how good the filmmaking was and how creepy and unsettling the film was, and liked the new ideas and the craziness that ensues, the take on the Catholic Church, the deceit, the betrayals, and the slow seeping dread. He said everything was right, everything works about it, and it bleeds directly in to The First Omen by Richard Donner, of course, with Gregory Peck and Lee Remick, David Warner and Patrick Troughton as Father Brennan. And we have Father Brennan in this movie as well, played by Ralph Ineson, who is obviously a favourite of Robert Eggers. And to go along with that Robert Eggers' connection, the score by Mark Corvin, who did The Lighthouse and The Witch, scores this movie. And for those of you who are into your scores, and one of my inside gentlemen, is massively into his scores because he works within that industry, movie scoring. And he told me quite a little bit about it. Anyway, score-wise, for all you people, the Goldsmith score, electrifying. Of course, we know it. His score for Damien Omen 2 is great. His score for The Final Conflict is a different ball game altogether. I've explored all of these scores and all of these movies many times on the channel, and you've heard me playing the music a lot. The best overall score is for The Omen. Understandably, the best overall film is The Omen. The score for Damien Omen 2 from Goldsmith elaborates a hell of a lot more on the themes and is really hyper energetic. And it's great, but I don't tend to play it. But the one I play perhaps the most is The Final Conflict. And The Final Conflict it's not the greatest of movies. It ends the trilogy with, obviously, Damien is now, is all powerful. He's going to bring his daddy to Earth and hell will take over. He's got millions of acolytes and disciples. He's really powerful. And he looks like Sam Neill. And he's great. But there's there's a fly in the ointment. A pesky fly in the ointment. There's the Nazarene. Jesus Christ is coming back. The second coming. Now, inevitably, this was the only way it could end, with the Antichrist fighting the Son of God. That's how it couldn't end any other way. If you're buying into this whole concept that the devil is there, then you have to believe, you have to do it, that God is there too. And God's Son is there. So the Nazarene comes back and Damien is defeated at the end. But the whole thing builds to a rather lackluster climax, I think. It goes out on a whimper, genuinely. There's no grandiose rhapsody and all that. I know Goldsmith's music does evoke that, but the visuals of the movie leave it a lot to be desired, to be honest. But so I play The Final Conflict music-wise a hell of a lot, and The Omen a hell of a lot. Damien Omen 2, not so much. But I'm interested in this new score, and my particular spy on the inside said the score's great, but it's not like Goldsmith's score. It does have a few little nods, and it will play the main theme from The Omen, which I presume over the end credits it goes into that. In fact, I'm saying I presume, I know it does. But that's how it, unless I've been lied to, of course. That's how it bleeds in, musically into The Omen, which I think is a sensational idea. Now, Corbin's music for The Lighthouse and The Witch is deeply dread-filled, ominous, unsettling, creepy, scary as fuck. That's the style he does. There's not a great deal of melody or motif or thematic material. It's just deeply unsettling undercurrents. And I've got it from both sources that the film itself is actually very quiet. But unnaturally, unsettlingly quiet. Did I say that right? Unsettlingly. I'm just... Oh. Rectify this. Cheers, y'all. And cheers to those with inside information and loose lips. Ha ha ha. Unsettlingly quiet. When the music comes in, I specifically asked, is it quiet or does it bring in bombast? And they were kind of like, well, yeah, but forget Goldsmith, it's not like that at all. And the film is not at all like what Richard Donner did and the other directors did with their installments. It's far more creepy, insidious, and crazy shit happens. Crazy shit. Now the story is that an American girl wants to join the nunnery and turn her life to the service of Christ. And I've always said right from the word go, and that plot synopsis came out, because she uncovers diabolical deeds within the institution and really nefarious acts and stuff is taking place. And she uncovers it, tries to fight it, but anyway, she's horribly thrust into a world of devilry and the occult. Right? Sound familiar? Yeah, to two things. Suspiria, Dario Argento's original 76 monolithic classic art house horror and slaughter, which I've raved about for all my life, basically. Because an American girl goes to a foreign land, gets inducted into a world of diabolism and demonics, witnesses horrible things, and tries to thwart it in the end. So there's that element there. Another film which the trailers really hint at a lot and has been confirmed to me by my two sources, Rosemary's Baby. I mean, we knew that. If you're going to tell the story of Damien being conceived, well, you're going to have a mother, and a daddy. Yes. And we can see quite clearly in the trailers that, yeah, there is some kind of nookery taking place. There's someone who is, a bit of a demon in disguise. Got the beast in him, you know? And so clearly the Rosemary's Baby angle is she'll be seduced. She's going to be brought into this hidden cult, which is subversive and in the bowels of the church, and she will be impregnated. Now, this leads into the leaked stuff and the horrible thing that purists have been despairing and tearing their hair out over, including myself, that the original storyline of Damien being born of a human mother and a jackal. Hang on, have I got that right? The mother was a jackal. That's it. The mother was a jackal and the father's the devil. Good God. No irony there intended. But now we keep hearing, and I'm getting the impression that jackal thing, there is a jackal supposedly in it and is listed certainly in some cast, and production descriptions. There is a jackal there. But whether the jackal is the mother, I don't think that's the case. Now, you're going to be thinking, well, but that's how, when they uncover the graves, and there's Robert Thorne, Ambassador Robert Thorne's real son there, with a hole in his skull. Oh, and where's the mother? And the mother's a jackal in the neck. Wah! You're like, no! You don't want that meddled with? Well, maybe that is a fictional story that they created about this. It really was, a girl that was impregnated and a jackal was just present. Maybe the jackal did the I don't know. But I know that a jackal is somehow or other featured in the movie. But that original storyline does seem to have been slightly altered. And I deliberately asked the question as well, but without getting spoilers. I kind of said, look, we're not giving nothing away. Have they sort of manipulated the original storyline that we all know and love? And the answer came back from both individuals, yes, they have. But both individuals also confirmed that it doesn't matter. It actually works. It works within this movie, and it doesn't affect anything that you see in the earlier movies. So it sounds as though Acacia Stevenson, who co-wrote it again, as I say, directed it, has delivered what we didn't expect. After watching the Blumhouse buffoonery of The Exorcist Believer, God, this is almost like the Antichrist to that pathetic mess. This is the real deal. And I've heard it from both people. The music is great. The production design is fantastic. It's a slow burn, quiet, insidiously creepy, scary movie with shocks in there and body horror and a bit of nudity as well, thrown into the mix. Now, I mentioned Suspiria before. Well, and I think I mentioned this connection in regards of the body horror and the nudity and the sort of extremes and the art house style of it. The lighting and the cinematography do seem to have a very sort of picturesque art house style to them, which again evokes Suspiria from Dario Argento, but also that remake of Suspiria, which was unwanted, unnecessary, and in many ways unwise. Now, I reviewed that movie. I was very interested in that movie, and again, this film, The First Omen, has something in common with the original Suspiria, and aesthetically and sort of stylistically a lot in common with that remake of Suspiria, which did combine body horror and art house stylings, weird subplots which were unnecessary, but I can see an overall connection in this bubbling broth. All these films, Suspiria, its remake, Rosemary's Baby, and all the Omen movies are in the cauldron, and it's bubbling over with ideas. This film is not a murder, fate fighting, the valiant and destroying anyone who's in the way of Damien and the devil's plan. It's not a film like that, because Damien doesn't exist until, well, presumably the end of this movie. So people getting involved and trying to, who's sussing on, you're not going to have weather vanes off the top of churches, spearing people to the deck, heads coming off, like people hanging themselves and smashing through windows. You're not going to have that sort of thing taking place. It's not about set piece murders, but you're going to have horrible stuff taking place. And we know that there's definitely a sequence which turned a lot of people's stomachs. In the cast as well. Been mentioned a few times. I don't know what it is. Before you try and ask me, I don't know what it is. But you've got Bill Nighy in there, the great Bill Nighy. Now, I saw an interview with him only just recently, and they were talking about, he wasn't the premiere of this movie, but he was talking on the red carpet about something else he's involved in. But he got asked about this, and he said, well, I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. I've never seen the original Omen movies. I don't like horror movies. And he's like, well, we're all, really? You don't like horror movies, and yet you appeared in one? A lot of actors appear in movies that they don't like the genre. A lot of actors appear in movies that they're never going to watch themselves. People don't like seeing themselves on camera. They might be brilliant performers, brilliant actors, but they don't want to watch themselves back, and they might shun the entire idea. Bill Nighy's not like that. He just doesn't like horror movies, so he's never seen the original movies, and he had no intention of watching this one. But that's no indication that, the film's shit. I wish I hadn't made it. It was a big mistake. No, it's just not his forte. I played a part in a movie, and he won't even be in it that much, probably. You've got Charles Dance in there as well. Charles Dance. A lot of speculation as to exactly who he's playing. I might know. I mean, for definite, but I might not. Cheers, Rob. Folks, the impetus behind this video is just, I'm excited. And when I get excited about something, I want everyone to know. So I wanted you to be excited too. Now, these two individuals both said they really, really enjoyed the film. One went in with a lot of sort of ideas before, and this ain't going to work, I'm not going to enjoy this, and I'm determined not to. But ended up really, really enjoying it and being genuinely surprised. The other guy was looking forward to it and really enjoyed it. But again, said the same thing. It's not what you think it's going to be. It's a lot cleverer, more intelligent than that. It's not witty. There's no sort of, gee heck, we're part of a great big franchise here, folks. Here's a little nod to, remember that scene in Damien Omen's suit with the elevator? Remember that? Well, we've got crows and things. It isn't like that. It doesn't do that. And in a way, although fan service like that sometimes goes down well in little tiny modicums, but the likes of like the Star Wars, not the prequels, the sequels, that final trilogy they did, the fan service was just, oh god, diabolical in the worst possible sense of the word. But little references and homages will work, and you need characters who are going to be in, like Father Brennan and maybe somebody else, who are going to be in this, who play a further part in the devilish dealings to come. So I think, by the sound of it, and again, I haven't seen it, so, but by the sound of it, from two people whose opinions I actually genuinely trust, we've not agreed on films in the past, but I do admire their opinions when they put an argument forward which is against, the opposite of what I believe, but when they put their opinions across and validate it, which is how you should always debate and argue and discuss, movies or anything, politics, wars, religion, anything. They're all to do with it. Religion does everything. All the root cause of all the evil in the world is religion. Oh God, I've done it again, haven't I? Can't just talk about the fucking movie, can I? No, I've got to bring sociological stuff and theological stuff into it. How can you not? The whole mantra for the Omen was about, the Holy Roman Empire rising, creating the eternal sea rises, creating armies near the shore, turning man against his brother till man exists no more. It's great, isn't it? It doesn't exist. It is not in the book of Revelations. David Seltzer, who created the Omen initially, he came up with that because it's like a blurb in the book, and it's referenced throughout the novel and throughout the movie. You believe it. You intrinsically believe that's part of the Bible. It isn't. It's not there at all. But it has that ring of authenticity which really cements an idea and a concept home in your heart and your soul, should you have one. Other little things he said, nods to the trilogy, slow burn, unsettlingly quiet, lots of ideas about the church, body horror, creepy as fuck, brilliantly shot, superbly directed, good shocks in there, what else, and crazy shit. Well, again, going back to Suspiria, the remake, there was some crazy shit that took place in that. By the way, don't go thinking that I'm an admirer of that remake. I reviewed it quite extensively, but I haven't seen the film, that remake of Suspiria, since then. That was a good few years ago now, and I admired certain parts of it, and I thought there was ideas there, but there was the whole Tilda Swinton thing as an old man. They did that just because Tilda Swinton can play a man or something androgynous. She played the Archangel Gabriel, didn't she, in Constantine? So it was just playing with she's got that kind of face. She can look like anything. So we'll have her playing an old man. There you go. No need. But the dancing thing with the body breaking was pretty effective. The entire finale and the way it subverted what the heroine of the original movie it actually is. She was the catalyst. So I thought that was a neat idea. I don't particularly respect the new one, how it was visually accomplished, and the actual emotional payoff to it all. I didn't really buy into any of that. But at least if you're going to do a sequel, you're going to do a remake. Yeah, I fundamentally believe you have to pay respect to the original, but also strike off in new territory. There's no point just doing the same thing. Oh, but we've got better effects now. People want to remake The Thing. Really. That's a debate I've had 1,000 times, and it'll happen 1,000 times more. In fact, I've got more to talk about The Thing actually, but not in this video. But The Thing is untouchable. You don't remake it. Don't try to. For God's sake, come up with your own story. But anyway, you know what Hollywood's like. We know what Blumhouse is like. They can't leave a successful franchise or a masterpiece of a movie alone. They've got to dabble in it. Dabble, like the devil. Because the devil makes work for idle hands. And Blumhouse, without the devil up their ass, would have little flappy hands doing absolutely nothing at all of creative value. Which in fact is what they do. Nothing of creative value. But yeah, so a couple of days' time, the First Omen will be unveiled to us all. I used to get to previews quite a bit. I did get to one recently. I forgot. Do you know what? I forgot what it was. I used to get to previews. I used to be invited to previews. And there's always an embargo on these things. If it's in advance, some of them are pretty far in advance, so you've got to keep stum. And it's exciting. It's really great. And you get to rub shoulders with certain other luminaries, people from the movie itself sometimes, but usually critics and journos and stuff like that. But some of them are characters in their own right. Cheers to you all. But I think after the poison in the mouth that was Exorcist Believer, which disappointed vast swathes of the audience, there was a few little people that, oh, it was great, and they shouted loud, but we didn't listen to them because they were idiots. But after that, and there's been a few lackluster horror films this year, and this one's been quite highly touted. And you're kind of thinking, oh, it's still part of an established franchise. It won't raise a demonic candle to the originals. Of course it won't. Of course it won't. But it can still be a great film in its own right. And from what I've heard from two very reliable sources, who shall remain nameless, that's what it does. It does its own thing. It's its own beast. It might have the same number, 666. It might have that, and it might bleed into what we know and love, but it does its own thing to get there, and it plays about. I mean, what we know of the actual this demon worshipping brotherhood of monks that do all this stuff subversively under the auspices of the cardinal and the church. Well, we knew they existed, but we didn't know how they operated. Well, now you're going to learn. Now you're going to find out. And if done correctly, which apparently it is, not just stupid fan service, not something ridiculous, it's going to take you in. It's going to suck you into this horrible, otherworldly environment. What's good? What's evil? And I think it does ask those questions, and it can be quite seductive. So that's a nice angle to play, to bring in well, good luck, Ambassador. Look, your son died. Oh, yeah, we smashed him in the head. But your wife need never know. But this young lady died, but she gave birth to a baby boy. Your wife need never know. Take this. He's got horns. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. File them down quickly. File them down. Oh. These monks got into a bad habit of ignoring all the rules and guidelines of bringing devilish offspring into the world. I think this could work. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm trying to, as I always do, to build up some momentum and some excitement, which is kind of redundant because pretty much everybody I know who hasn't already seen the film is quite excited about it. There's a few who are like, oh, I don't want to see it because, you can't touch the originals. I'm like that a lot of the time. But, going to find out one way or another. And this one does appear to be the real deal. So, I'll be back with a full review of it. I don't know if I'm going to do like a non-spoiler. Maybe I will. I don't know. It depends if I get to the pub after the cinema screening. If I go to the pub, I've done it in the past. I like to sit with a whiskey or two, or three, and just give my initial opinions. And then obviously I'll either see it again or really just sit back and think about it with a sober mind, and then go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I will be doing that with this. I will be reviewing the soundtrack to it as well. So it's an event, and we've been looking forward to it. So at least the news so far is not bad. In fact, it's very, very good. Come on now, that's worth celebrating, isn't it? And these are two guys who told me, and they're from sort of diverse backgrounds, but in the industry, but both have differing viewpoints and opinions from each other, and often from myself. And both of them come at this from different angles and loved it. So there you go, folks. And, don't go searching. There are many leaks and spoilers out there. There are. These guys did their best to give nothing literally plot-wise away, but hinted at things, and I'm reining back on some of the things they told me just to keep you guys salivating and interested without giving too much away. Even the whole jackal thing, I know a little bit more about that, but anyway, got to see how it all pans out. So folks, in the meantime, in this ever diabolically awaiting the birth of the child in between time, please keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all laters. And as if I'm going to let this go without playing. Well, we got Ave Satanic, but if you want to go, just go. This is just for me now, really. But I can't do it. I always play the Killer Storm, always. I'm not going to do it this time. But I am going to play The Hunt from Final Conflict, because it's just so good. This is Goldsmith just on the gallop. Damien is on the fox hunt. Don't get me started. Did some damage there myself. The redcoats. Two of them will never be fox hunting again. Ever. This gallop. But he brings in the main theme as well. And it's just the hairs in the back of your neck. Oh, it's so big. I like the horn call, or his orchestral version. And Damien is like the monks of, with the daggers of Megiddo are all there. The most inept assassins ever. They fail every single time. They're laying a false trail to lure Damien away, and they're going to lie and wait for him and trap him. He's the Antichrist, and you're idiots. You're monks. You are not SAS. He's taken a vow of celibacy. Because he's an ugly bastard. Can't get a girl and save his life. You got that? It has been quoted as being one of the greatest equestrian pieces of music. And it genuinely is. You've got that momentum, the feel of going over fields, through trees, weaving about, and, your arse bones getting jiggled to hell and back. By the horse. By the horse. And it keeps pausing and going off like Damien down a false trail. Has there ever been a more exhilarating piece of music to a horror film? Probably has, but let's just leave it with this for now. Damien realises, look, you assholes, you've got me trapped on the bridge. But I've got the dogs! And the way the dogs just all stop, all that chattering and barking and yipping, and that poor monk's like that. And the dogs just all stop and stare at him in silence, and Damien just goes, take him. Oh, Jesus. Oh, indeed. Oh, Jesus. Where are you? I'm coming at the end of the movie. Just hang fire. Watch for a light in the sky. Great use of choir as well in all three movies' soundtracks. I wonder if you're going to get that with the score for the First Omen. Right, anyway, get your hopes up. I think we're gonna enjoy this one. Oh God, let's pray that we can enjoy this one. Get a real good horror film now. We've just gone through Easter, another very huge element, Christian faith, God and Jesus, and all that stuff, the brotherhood, But this isn't going to end well. And there's one thing that we know about this movie: it can't end on a positive note, unless unless cleverly it does. You've got down the corridor in the hospital. You've got grief. Mother's unaware, lost a child. Ambassador Thorne's there. You're gonna have them. I don't know this for a fact. I think they're either gonna pass the baby, right? I know someone we can give this to, right? Ta-da. Off they go. I think you might see them shadow Robert Thorne in shadow, in silhouette down the corridor, head bowed, distraught, and a little scurrying priest comes down. Would you like this one instead? Trust me, it's going to be fine. Your wife will never know, and you'll be happy forever. Yes, when you spend eternity in hell, repenting for your sins. Right, I'm out of here, folks. I'll be back. Laters. Ta-ra!